Hello everyone. I'm super excited to come back with one more day a month on Mahatmas. So today is our Honorable President, our favorite Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam's birthday, October 15th, and we are super honored to have our scientist, Dr. Prabhakaran, in the studio to talk about this amazing man. So before even we start, let me tell what happened this morning. Dr. Prabhakaran was invited to the coaching depot of Yeshwanthpur, where the employees of railways have made Abdul Kalam statue with nuts and bolts and wires. So it was amazing to garland that, and the sir was awarded one of the best performance award for being with the legend. So I was so glad it was only two of them, Vishwa sir and Prabhakaran sir. So two of them made a great presence there, and they shared what happened in their lives along with Abdul Kalam. And of course, we went live on Facebook. It was an amazing moment because this year it is his 90th birthday. So we all were wondering how we are going to celebrate this in the middle of COVID, challenges, people unable to make it. So much of rains here in Bangalore. Bangalore is a walk now because you can't imagine when it will rain. So, so the climatic condition is also not favorable, but luck was with us, God was with us. So it was an amazing program. The president of Lead India Foundation, Dr. Hari Maram, honored all of them, and Kiran Reddy, Sujata ma'am, myself, and Gayatri was there. Many of us joined in the celebrations, and we all were super happy to be there. So from there, directly we are here in the studio. So we thought, which is the better day to talk about Kalam? We thought we will get into work and we'll finish his recording for Speaker 8, day 8. So that is why we are here. So this is a little background about what we really wanted to share. So this is Fatima, our intern today for the program. And then we have our design department head, Dr. Dawson Jasper James. Let us know a little about this honorable scientist who is the Chief Learning Officer at St. Mother Teresa University for Digital Education Excellence and Sustainability Development and World Peace. So here I go to read about our dear Dr. N. Prabhakaran. Dr. N. Prabhakaran, DRDS, retired, former DRDO scientist. Dr. N. Prabhakaran, alumni of MIT Madras and IIT Madras, joined Vehicles Research and Development Establishment, VRDE, Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, at Ahmednagar in 1984. His major contribution in DRDO has been in design and development of vehicular systems and subsystems as well as assembly. Testing, evaluation, and trials of vehicles and engines. His invaluable contribution have yielded in successful completion of 5 major projects in VRDE. He was instrumental in creation of state-of-art engine test cells for testing and evaluation of automotive engines for military and civil applications to take care of roadworthiness requirements. He also actively associated in conducting technical performance and user trials of different categories of vehicles and systems in high altitude, mountainous and desert sand terrains under inclement weather conditions. He was also instrumental in creation of Center for Personal Talent Management Center in 2009, which was later renamed as Target Training Center, TTC. He was the head of the center from March 2014 to January 2016 and June 2018 to May 2020. He created state-of-art infrastructure facility and established the process for recruitment, assessment, and training of different categories of personnel. He also organized and conducted recruitment and assessment tasks as well as imparted several targeted training to employees for effectively handling the programs and projects of DRDO. He has authored and published 15 technical papers in various national and international conferences and several reports and documents. He has guided number of engineering and management students for projects. He is the founder member of Bangalore chapter of Engineers Without Borders, EWB, an organization involved in utilizing technology to address societal problems. He teaches in government and aided schools on technological awareness and solutions. He has delivered lectures, keynote speeches in many schools, colleges, and research and development institutes and industrial establishments. Through invited talks and keynote speeches, he inspires and motivates students. He has reached more than 7,000 plus students. He has delivered many popular science and multimedia lectures to the general public to bring in awareness on science and technology. Science and technology is his favorite, and this is the book we authored together, Love Can Bring Peace and Happiness During Setback. And I really love this book because for the 50 stories, after every story, there is a question asked by me and the answer given by him. And these answers are profound. What he has, shared as answers are profound. He is a scientist who has made invaluable contributions in several projects during the span of his 36 years in service. As a head of Target Training Center, TTC, he established the process for recruitment, assessment, and training activities for defense personnel. He has authored many papers, like he said. And this book is the start. Presently, he tells me that we have to at least print 100 books and give it on cancer awareness program, which is on 23rd. So that is his heart. He has always been very kind and, giving. He is a giver. So his quote, which I like very much, is he always says, fail fast, fail forward, but don't forget to raise resourceful. Fail fast, fail forward, but don't fail to raise resourceful. You should get the lesson out of it. So that is the happiness of talking to Dr. N. Prabhakaran. So welcome to the show.
Thank you, Vidya, for a nice introduction. It was nice of you to introduce me. Of course, I think you've taken a lot of time in doing this thing. Probably you could have cut short that.
No, sorry.
It was nice that I co-authored a book along with you. Love Can Bring Peace and Happiness. It's a wonderful feeling. Many times I used to think, what will I do after retirement? But it so happened that I have become much more busier after retirement. I didn't expect. I thought that I can do some relaxation after retirement, but then I have become more busier because immediately after retirement we started writing this book. It has come very nicely. It has been appreciated everywhere, many people, and that is why we are going for the second edition.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we feel really good, and this day is much more special, no doubt, because today is the 90th birth anniversary of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. I feel so honored, I feel so privileged, I feel so happy. Today I am being honored for the wonderful performance which I carried out over the years on the eve of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam's birthday, and during the unveiling of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam's statue. I felt happy to be in front of the statue on this occasion, and I was honored in front of the statue. Probably it is from the top. So I'm feeling very blessed. Nice that you quoted about my quote about the failing. See, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam's first project was a failure, you know.
Oh, I didn't know.
It was a failure. It was a failure. The project was named Devil. He started doing a project named Devil. It was, surface to air missile, which he started in 70s, early 70s. But then he did not let go of that thing. But there was a lot of lessons from that thing. So many spin-offs from that project. From there only many projects like Prithvi, Trishul, Akash, and all have come up, and later on he became a very successful person. Okay. So when the project Devil became failure, he took the onus on him. But when many projects were successful, he gave the credit to the teamwork. So like that, in R&D activities, every project cannot be successful because it is a tedious thing. So we have also, in my case also, many projects have been failed, especially in the initial stages. But there have been a lot of takings from that thing. So that's how we could reach up to this level. Yes, he became a successful personality. Reached to the top of the ladder, but it was not on the number day one. It
Yes.
took many, many, many years for him to come to that level. It is not that as soon as he completed his engineering, he became the president of the country, right?
Correct.
It took a longer time. He, like anyone else, he joined as a scientist in DRDO in 1958. That was the year DRDO was started. DRDO was started in the year 1958. He joined in the year 1958. He did his BTech, DMIT. Now we call it as BTech from Madras Institute of Technology, where I also studied later on stages. So in a way, he was my college senior also.
He is the 5th batch and sir was the
So
33rd
that was
batch.
the batch. In fact, I was selected by him for DRDO. He visited our campus and he selected us. That's how I joined DRDO. And after a lot of interactions we had, but then he was the senior most person in DRDO. I was the junior most person in DRDO at that point of time. But then we used to have some opportunity to meet and interact in many aspects, particularly about projects. It was a wonderful feeling. Today, I am blessed to talk something about our missile man, rocket man, people's president, whomsoever you call it. It's
So
wonderful.
can you give us a little background of him, which the public doesn't know? You know,
Yeah,
usually we all know him after he became the president or after he became, when he came to the politics, that is when we all came to know about him. But as working in the DRDO and campus, ISRO campus, there is loads of people who know him for his humbleness, simplicity, and love. So, is there anything which you would love to say as a background, sir?
yeah, correctly. But then a lot of things I could have kept on record, but I never knew that he was going to become a president. Otherwise, probably I would have saved some loads of documents, photographs, and other things. But then at that point of time, we didn't anticipate or we didn't expect that he is going to be our president. Otherwise, I would have saved and protected so many documents or photographs or videos, whatever be possible. Anyway, to brief something about Dr. Awul Pakir Jainaluddin Abdul Kalam. He was born on 15th October 1931 in a place called Rameshwaram in southern part of Tamil Nadu in India, which everyone knows. And today is his 90th birthday. Also everyone knows that he came from a middle class family, lower middle class family. His father was a boat owner. His mother was a homemaker. It was not that they were all so much poverty ridden. Before 1920s, it is understood that they were well off, but due to some reasons or other, then poverty stricken in their family. And he was the 5th son of his family, and he was the youngest. So he had 4 elder brothers, of course. He was very much affectionate towards his family. Sometimes they struggled for food also. So everybody says, of course, everybody knows that he was a newspaper. He used to distribute newspapers before going to school and all, which many people have come across. Yes, he has come through different, so much of struggle. But from that level to become a president, it's a great honor, great thing, great achievement. It's all because of sincerity, honesty, punctuality, caring, whatever you say, hard work, dedication. So that's what has taken him to this level, I feel. We all know that after his education, he did his BSc in St. Joseph's College, Trichy. Okay. Then, because he could not enter engineering after 12th standard, after PUC at that point of time, maybe due to poverty, maybe due to lack of knowledge. But then after graduation, he joined the prestigious Madras Institute of Technology. Because to enter Madras Institute of Technology, and likewise what you see here in Bangalore Institute of Science, these two were the only institutions offering graduation in engineering after BSc. That was the minimum requirement is BSc for that thing. So he did aeronautical engineering. Then what transpired him to do aeronautical engineering. He could have taken other subjects like there are many specialized subjects like automobile production technology, instrumentation technology, like that. Because those times, unlike the present days, Madras Institute of Technology was the only institute offering specialized courses in engineering. Many other colleges, engineering colleges were there, but they were offering general subjects like mechanical engineering, electrical, sort of a thing. But so Madras Institute of Technology was famous for offering specialized courses. And in that, he opted for aeronautical engineering because it was there in his blood when he was in his school days.
Okay.
What we understand is that when he was in school, his teacher took the students outside, explained how the bird flies, sort of a thing. Then he became very curious. If the birds can fly, why can't the human beings fly? So what we can do it. So that thought came. So then of course he got an opportunity to do the aeronautical engineering. He did his BTech in Madras Institute of Technology from 1954 to 57. Then afterwards, in 58, he joined aeronautical establishment, development establishment, very closer to your house, Vijaya, here in C.V. Raman Nagar.
Yeah.
So he joined in 1958 and he was there till 1969. So he worked for just more than 10 years in our C.V. Raman Nagar aeronautical development establishment. During this period, he also developed a hovercraft. Hovercraft, you know, it can go in water also, it can go in land also. That sort of a project he did. Then, of course, he was dragged to ISRO for an important satellite launching vehicle project program in 1969. So he was there for about 10 years. Then again from ISRO, he came back to DRDO, to DRDL, Defense Research and Development Laboratory in Hyderabad, where the missile projects were to be taken up, missile programs were to be taken, prestigious programs, the sport of a very important programs as far as the country is concerned. They were initially the first project which he took was Project Devil. It was a surface to air missile project, which has become a total failure for many people would not be knowing. So this project, though it was failure, it happens because DRDO projects are small, not small things. There's so much of complications involved in that thing. But there were so many lessons to be learned from that program, so many spin-offs to be taken from that thing. So from there, it evolved many projects like Prithvi, surface to air. Surface to surface, then Trishul project, surface to air, small range, Akash project, surface to air, long range, like that many programs became successful because of his leadership qualities, of course, dedicated work of scientists. He used to take all the people along with him. That was the biggest attribute of him. Whenever anything is needed, instead of calling scientist, he used to approach the scientist. That was the best quality of him, I can say.
That's really amazing because people won't be knowing what was happening in the 50s and above. See, we are just in Tipsandra, ADE, and then you can have a feeling now that Abdul Kalam was walking here, talking here, because 10 years you would have been in the same locality, right?
From 1 kilometer from your house.
Yeah. So it's such a beautiful feeling to know a background of a person who is people's president, who is so famous, and like nothing happens overnight. Even for a Chinese bamboo to grow, it has to be 5 years underground, and then in 6 weeks it shoots up. Just like that, Abdul Kalam shot up to fame only in the progressive years of his. But he was famous for his work right from the start, because people today, when we were talking there in the program, people said that they felt a kind of a very good vibration in his company, in the frequency, the vibration, the value add, just being there made all the difference. So to say something about a person who's gone and, gone to the God's abode, it is not easy. And then I was astonished when I heard today, one of his colleague was telling, before every launch, before any missile launched, he used to say, Tenga Kodduva. He used to say, bring the coconut, we'll break the coconut and then start the missile. Can you imagine this? This can happen only in India. Because a Muslim asking for a coconut to be broken as a, thing before the missile starts up. That being a scientist. Can you imagine the, situation? Being a scientist, being from a different community and asking for a coconut to be broken before something is started. It's all amazing. It's so very powerful.
He was a man of all religion. I tell you, whenever any opportunity, what he used to tell, he used to, whenever he used to light a lamp, he used to tell, see, I am lighting a lamp, which is generally performed by the Hindus with the use of candles generally used by Christians, and I myself is a Muslim sort of a thing. And when the Pokhran testing was going on, then he was a Muslim, and the other colleagues, Hindus were there, Christians were there. They were the Christian senior officer. He was praying to the Lord Jesus. He was praying. He was doing namaz. He was reading namaz, and some people were doing prayers. So sort of a thing. Everybody believes, all scientists also believe in God. Without God's help,
nothing can happen. Actually, Rameshwaram is town of temples. So it is where his upbringing happened, and I'm sure he would have had friends who were Hindus who are his best friends. Especially when you read the book Wings of Fire, or anything he has written, Ignited Minds, or he had written a book, Vision 2020 or something, the last one which I read. So he talks about his childhood. He nourishes the friendship which he had with other colleagues and people. So it is, like I always say, it is never about the religion. It is always about the spirituality, about the Almighty, the most beneficent and merciful. He is there, and without his command, not even a leaf will move. That's it. So this person, this dignitary whom we are talking about today, is just one simple, humble, wonderful man who has impacted lives in such a way that even after his passing on, there are people who, who take him so seriously as a mentor, as a guru, as a guide, as a role model. So it is so nice to keep talking about him. So what are the 5 best qualities you would attribute of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, sir?
Yeah, all best qualities are with him. There is nothing like 5 best qualities. But then if you can summarize it into 5 best qualities, it comes to everybody's mind that is simplicity.
Yes.
Hope everybody will agree for it.
Yes.
You cannot find such a simple person so easily in such a big position.
Be simple, be sample.
Yeah, exactly. He never owned a TV at any point of time. He never owned a car at any point of time. Such a simple person. He came with a small luggage to the Rashtrapati Bhavan, and he left the moment his power went off. The same day he left the Rashtrapati Bhavan with a small luggage. You cannot find such a simple person. That is one. Simplicity is his best quality. And everybody knows he is a bachelor. He was a bachelor. Yeah, but there was you cannot find such a wonderful family man like Abdul Kalam. Wonderful personality. He is good in looking after the families of the people. So morning also I was telling to Vijay about my colleague, because he was very badly in need of transfer from one lab to the other. And finally he had to approach Abdul Kalam, which was not so easy to meet him. So many senior officers, general level people are waiting for him. The moment he said that, he sent a chit that he was from Madras Institute of Technology, he was called in. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Kalam sir was about to go for lunch, but then he called the person and he did whatever was needed. That was one thing. And whenever he was overloading the scientists with project activities, he ensured that the families were not suffering. Whatever was their requirement, if they have to go for shopping or do something else, he used to send transport and do whatever is needed without the knowledge of the scientists even. So he had such a family bonding, very good family bonding. He used to have this was his second quality, I can tell. And the third best quality was a great learner. He used to say that learning never stops. Learning never stops, and you can learn from anybody, anything sort of a thing. Every day, every moment is a learning. Such a great scientist, he need not come to junior person like sort of a thing, but then he when I came with engine from Ahmednagar to Kolar to brief about the engines, he came personally to me and he asked me to explain, and he had so many doubts. It was a wonderful feeling. And he became so curious that because of that aspect, he wanted to come and see a real engine working in test-bed condition in Ahmednagar, which he did within 2 months' time. Then he came to Ahmednagar. I was the only person in the control room, in the clean room, with him operating the controls of the engine when other senior officers were outside in the test cell. And the engine was also not fully experimented, fully proven engine. It was only just coming up. I knew some problem is going to come. So then in between, slowly, instead of going to high speed, they reduced the speed. Kalam sir said, enough. I thought that he is in a hurry, he wants to go back. Then I was also happy that he is going back. But I only knew what was the problem in the engine. I also felt that Kalam sir was not knowing the problem in the engine. Then, of course, while leaving, he told my director, yes, that boy is having some problem with the engine, so kindly make the engine orbit at the earliest possible. Like that. Then when they came to know, he didn't want to trouble me, he didn't want to put me into trouble. He wanted to make me comfortable. That is why. So that sort of empathy he had. That is his fourth attribute. And the final and most important thing is that, yes, whenever you do any project or any program, for scientists, there is nothing like it brings great happiness when you successfully complete the program.
True.
But then, when Kalam sir has done so many successful projects or programs, what he feels is that he doesn't feel great about such accomplishing such a big project. He felt that the only two projects which gave him immense happiness. When asked why, he was telling that one was, of course, the coronary stent, because many people are having heart problem. Bypass surgery used to be done those days, or they used to go to foreign countries, and if you are importing, coronary stent, it used to cost lakhs and lakhs of rupees, which poor people cannot afford. So what he did, what he suggested was, in DRDL, he was working on missile projects. Missile projects, it has many components are made of composite materials, carbon material. The reason, because it has to be very light, because it goes in the air, it should not be heavy. At the same time, it has to be very strong, and at the same time, it has to withstand very high temperature to the extent of 2,500 degrees. Can you imagine any material withstanding 2,500 degrees? So a lot of efforts have been done under his leadership by many scientists, and the material was developed for missile application. But he used that material for this purpose. And I tell you, once you would have come across these polio affected children.
Yeah.
See, they are having these artificial limbs.
Yes.
Artificial limbs you have, no? So this were weighing 4 kgs, 2 kgs on each leg, or maybe more than that. So these polio affected children, as such, they are not. To help them out, you are giving them artificial limbs, but it weighs 4 kgs. You expect them to run. How much difficulty will be there? How much struggle will be there? How the parents will feel? So this was the Kalam came to know that yes, this problem we will solve it. Same missile material which was developed for the missile application. With that, he took the dimensions of the children for their legs size, and he made the molds, developed the artificial limb just with 300 grams.
Oh my God, from 2 kg to 300
grams. The moment these children were wearing this thing, you would find the happiness of the children and the mothers, tears rolled down. So these are the two things which brought happiness to him, I guess. So these are all the things that, so like that, many things happened. So with all his dedication, sort of a thing, after so many years, he became a scientific advisor in 1992. From 1992 to 1999, he was the scientific advisor and secretary to the defense minister. Then later on, during the short period, later on he became principal scientific advisor in the year 1999. then later on, of course, as everyone knows, from 2000, he served as president. And later on, he served as a teaching faculty in various Indian Institute of Management, Educational Ministry, and stuff like that. So, wonderful man. We wish he should have given much more, many more years. We would have benefited much more. We have got a boy. And I was fortunate today to get the award in front of this statue. And today I am fortunate that you have invited me to say something about Dr. Abdul Kalam on this very special day. Otherwise, I could have chosen anybody else, but no name comes when on this special occasion other than Dr.
Abdul Kalam. Absolutely. So I'm just running out of time. I think we will, cut this and restart. Should that be okay?
Yes, Doc.
We have around 8 minutes. If you have any small question, we can ask because this has to be cut short now. I'm still recording.
I just have one question to Doctor.
Yeah.
All the innovative people in the world, they use a technique called mind mapping. I feel, as you were explaining, he used the missile technology metal for the children so that from 2 kgs it becomes 3 kg. So now we know how he was able to do so much to this world, contribute so much in different aspects of life, like environment for kids, education, scientist, missile man, rocket man, president of India, but he was still humble. If Abdul Kalam was alive today, the 90th birthday, what he wanted us to do, Doctor? What do you think he would want us to do the right thing for the country?
Yeah. If Abdul Kalam had been alive today, he would have loved to have these things: love, peace, and happiness in everybody's mind. What is the thing? So that's what I would like to say.
Abdul Kalam, his quotes are so powerful. Like, when we hear that dream is not something which you see in your sleep, dream is something which does not let you sleep. Or if he says, I'm not handsome, but I can give my hand to someone who is in need. I love black because black boards are the ones which defines the futures of the youngsters. So he was so very, obsessed. I would say the word obsessed with youngsters. He felt the young generation is the order of India. It can do something incredible for India. His Vision 2020 or his project, anything to do with education excellence, or bringing the downtrodden or grassroots level people to the next rung of the ladder. All this was his mission, and he was not complicated at all. It was a very, very uncomplicated situation with him because he was simple and a sample. So we were talking about the quotes, what Abdul Kalam speaks about. His quotes are so very powerful, like to be like sun, you have to burn like sun. So many things are happening. So Fatima is here with us today. Fatima, do you have any question for our scientist, Dr. Prabhakaran?
Yeah. So, hello, doctor.
Hi, Fatima. Yes, good.
How are you?
Oh, first class. How are you doing?
I'm fine. So, I have the question of why did APJ Abdul Kalam sir love children? Students.
APJ Abdul Kalam sir loves children. Yeah, even I love children. Everyone loves children because when you are with children, you're totally free from tension, pressure, worry, sadness, loneliness, illness, depression, and all sorts of limitations, and you forget everything and you are flying in the air. So that is one thing. Yeah, that is, of course, it's everybody's nature. But then when you ask specifically about why Kalam sir loved children so much, because children are the future. The future belongs to the children. So everything, the future of the country belongs to the children. So if the children are brought up in a better way, the country will flourish, the country will grow, sort of a thing. That is why when he was a president, after he relinquished the president post also, then he took it as a challenge to meet as many children as possible. He was touring all over the country to meet children in various schools, education institutions, and all. No, I was one of the fortunate scientists to have, one of the letters addressed to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam when he was the president. I tell you, when he was the president of the country, so many children from so many schools throughout the country used to send letters to him, asking some scientific doubts. As if president is sitting idle freely to answer all the questions, it is totally impossible for a president to go through all the letters, right? So what he used to do in his office, he used to mark to the concerned person who is the best person to answer what questions. So whenever the children used to ask doubts, used to send the questions to the appropriate persons. So during the course of time, I also received one inland letter sent by one seventh class student to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam asking how the two-stroke engine works, why it is not becoming popular, sort of a thing. So I was on behalf of Dr. APJ, I answered to that child. Not only that, Kalam sir used to ensure that whether I have answered to the child or not. So the copy should be marked to him. So, so then only he will close that chapter. So that's how. So he loved children so much, and he loved teaching very much. You all know, because he loved students, he loved children. That is why he was visiting the schools. Even when his death came, he was teaching. Of course, students are like children only for him. He was teaching in various Indian Institute of Management, Anna University was teaching. He was visiting various schools. So he was, in fact, one of the countries celebrate celebrated his birthday, 15th October, as a World Student Day. So that's all. As far as his quote is concerned, which you have asked, there are many quotes which I do not want to tell because time he has written books about quotes. We cannot read everything. But since two ladies are there, I would like to tell that there are a number of women who have brought about immense change in society. Like you, Vijaya, you have brought immense change in society. Probably he would have been very proud of you if he had seen you in this condition. So this is one of his favorite quote which I would like to, because he was close to me. And of course, small aim is a crime. This is his favorite quote. Small aim is a crime. You should aim high.
Awesome, awesome. Small aim is a crime. Aim big. If you dream, or if your aim is not seeing fear in your spine, that means you're not dreaming well enough. So he was always saying that dream so big that you get scared of your own dream, and then you start working, you start bucking up. So he has been my all-time favorite. And June 21st, my son's birthday, I've written many mails to Abdul Kalam, and like he said, he ensures that the mail has been addressed and the mail has been answered. So from the childhood, my son loves Abdul Kalam. He always says, I have the first name Abdul. He's Abdul Hakim, Abdul Kalam. So he says, I have the half of my inspiration name. So he is an inspiration for people who saw him, who didn't see. India holds him very closely to its heart. And today being his 90th birthday, we can celebrate this man not just this day, but every day, for science and technology, for his value add, for his moral sciences, for his communication, for his interpersonal skills, for his leadership. We can quote many, 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 many things about him and feel good about it. All that I vouch is today's young generation, when you have the time to buck up yourself, have a role model, and ensure that you climb one step above that person, and show them or make them feel proud that yes, this person, I was the role model, and they did much more than what I could do or plan for. So so that's amazing that we can actually do. So thanks for,
He was loved by everybody, no doubt about that thing. But even Kalam sir was criticized, I tell you.
yeah.
I tell you, one of the criticism which he faced was that he received, when he was a president of the country, he received 21 mercy petitions.
Mm.
But only one, only one mercy petition he accepted. The rest he all sort of, so he could not execute his work properly. That is what the critics say. But then probably he's a too much of humble person to give sort of a decision. So this is one criticism.
Yeah, see, every one of us have to go through ups and downs. It's not that it's a bed of
But,
roses.
but humanity is much more than anybody. That's why he was not, he didn't want to put anyone into gallows. So he has been very liberal in giving mercy to anybody, except for one person who was very strange.
So the being a president of India, being at the time when the world wanted a change, wanted a difference, is amazing, and we have so much of things to remember him, and especially when you talk to people who have seen him in close quarters, you feel so good because you get to know so many things which we were not unaware of. So I was not even aware that he was also criticized. So criticism is a part of life, and it is a way of life. We have to take it and keep going. Like I always keep saying, to find an ounce of gold, we have to dig thousands of tons of dirt. So to find a person's goodness is what matters. So from there we can take it and make it work. So this is a honorary show where we call speakers who are facilitators, healers, scientists, scholars, educationalists to give a thought process, what they feel about the Mahatmas in October. Like this month is a month of Mahatmas where we are talking about Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, APJ Abdul Kalam, and Nelson Mandela. So they are all Mahatmas in their own right. And when we have people talking about them at close quarters and say that this is what their day-to-day life was, it is so very inspiring and mesmerizing to be one like them, to shine. That's what we love to do. So is there anything else you would want to say, sir? Is there a message you want to give them?
Actually,
Students of today?
Kalam, such a great, eminent personality. He felt that he kept three people in high esteem. Like, one is Vikram Sarabhai.
Yeah.
He felt that he was a great mentor. Then Satish Dhawan, he felt a great leader. Yes. And the third person, I would say, that Dr. Arunachalam. So these three persons, eminent personalities, he always kept in high esteem because at one point of time, other people used to pick their names, and because of their motivation, they reached up to that. So everybody has some good. So he left the 3%. Like we all did.
Yeah.
Kalam.
Yes. True. Yeah, that is amazing. That is really nice that we get to know who he was looking forward to and who was his reporting bloggers and how he felt working with them, and how much he valued their presence and mentorship in life. Because without mentors, we cannot do more, be more, or have more. Because we need accountability partners to know where we go and how to go and where it will all lead. So for youngsters today, it is very important to stay focused in this, the world where there is so much of distractions. I would recommend you to be focused on what you're doing, because focus is the only thing which can take you to the next level. See, if you want the paper to burn, you have to hold that, what they hold, sir, to burn the paper. Stethoscope or what was that? Anyways, you have to hold it for a longer time for the heat to fall into that and then burn. So if you're moving the focus here and there and what is happening, you cannot. So you need that kind of focus. Focus on focus. You eat, breathe, sleep, do what it takes and complete the projects. Never say no unless you ensure that it's all complete. Like I always love Vivekananda's quote that awake, arise and stop not till your goals are achieved. So pray to the universe and have your intentions clear and always have clarity of purpose and specific is perfect. So with this, I think we are coming to the flag end of this program.
Actually, he was also a great environmentalist, I could say, apart from doing the project. You know everything that comes out of the human being stinks.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
You go to toilet stinks, you go to spinner, it stinks, you sweat, it stinks, your saliva stinks, whatever comes out of your nose stinks, whatever it comes out of your eyes stinks. Everything stinks except one thing. And that one thing is that, and that is also option. You can make it sweet. Whatever is coming out of your mouth, you can make it sweet. That is what it is. So whenever we speak, let us speak sweet. Let us not harm anybody. Let us not hurt anybody. That was his way. Because that's why he was a team man. That's why he could achieve such a big program.
Yeah, because along with team, we can achieve miracles. Together, everyone.
Doctor,
Yes.
I
yes,
think
Dr.
he also understood the hardship of life, the opportunity that he got, because he didn't get into DRDO just like that. So
Yes,
he
yes.
went through a process. So he could understand the human dimension of others, how they would have aspired to be somebody. But he was a process man. So when his time came, he was elevated to the first man of the country, the president of India. So he waited as long as he could. So he is a real inspiration and asset to our country.
True. Yes, because he realized he took everything with gratitude. He had attitude of gratitude, be it for his learning, be it for his family, be it for upbringing, be it for colleagues, acquaintances, friends, and all that. Because he had very clear goals, and he felt that getting where he was, of course, it's shape, skills, talent, and knowledge, but he also believed in the process of God and God walking us through. So thank God, he always felt good that he had the good bosses and good process in hand. So like Sir said, he was people's person and a team man. So team together, everyone can achieve miracles. He believed in that, and whenever there was success, he was attributing his team for that, and whenever there was failure, he was taking on himself. So he said this trait he learned from Vikram Sarabhai. Satish Dhawan. They used to do that, and that is where he told he imbibed their qualities of being like that. So we had a great leader, and India is proud, and we are all contemporaries to Abdul Kalam, and we can always say we lived in an era where Abdul Kalam lived. So that itself is a greatness what we can do. So before I close, you all know what I do. I dedicate my I-FI statement to the speaker of the day, and today I dedicate my I-FI statement to Dr. Scientist, my best buddy, Prabhakaran. Sorry, please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, Vijaya. Thanks for everything. Thanks for the opportunity. I felt grateful to you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you, sir. It was great, discussing Abdul Kalam, and great knowing things which we didn't know about him. So we can talk more about people like this, and this is the content we are creating for our executive MBA, where students will be analyzing this video for their assessments. So I'm sure they will be touched, moved, and inspired by the speaker as well, or the content they are giving so very humbly and simply. And this is a honorary, speaking assignment which they are doing, where they are giving their subject matter expertise to St. Mother Teresa University as a gift. So thank you for this valuable gift. We adore you and we love you for what all you do for us, sir. Being a chief learning officer, he has always been, insightful of bringing Mother Teresa University to the top radar. And it's been my goal and intention before I die. Mother Teresa University will be one of the top 10 universities in the world, and we will rock the NEP 2020 policy, and we will ensure that university which was a startup, which came up from the grassroots level, can touch the skies with the quality and quantity of value add it gives to students. Thank you so much. God bless you. Without you, I'm nothing. Freedom for all and all for freedom. Whatever we achieve, we can achieve only through team. I believe, I understand, and I value the presence of my team. Thank you so much. God bless you all. We call it an end. Thank you. Thank you, Fatima. Thank you, Dr. Johnson.
You're welcome, Doctor.
Welcome.